you. Welcome back. Now, let's even give you a background understanding to what is to be discussed today. Now, governance and security are fundamental pillars of national development. In Nigeria, effective governance promotes accountability, transparency, economic growth, and the rule of law, while a secure environment enables citizens and businesses to thrive. Since the return to democratic rule in 1999, Nigeria has made notable progress in strengthening democratic institutions, but significant governance and security challenges remain and persist. Nigeria operates a federal presidential system with three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The country also has three tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local government, designed to bring governance closer to the people. Nigeria's governance and security landscape reflect both progress and persistent challenges. While democratic institutions have become more established and security reforms continue, sustained political commitment, institutional growth, and also strengthening the institutions for economic development and active citizens' participation remain essential for building a peaceful, stable, and prosperous nation. Tonight, we will be looking at all of this issue from different perspectives and being joined by Ambassador Ade Mario Emmanuel, a security expert. But before we even let the cat out of the bag by allowing our guests to talk to us, we'll take a look at a video. Then we'll get the scorecard from Nigerian Army on what they said about the current state of Nigeria and how they are winning the war on insurgency. Then we'll come back to the conversation. Please stay with us.
Addressing defense correspondents at the defense headquarters in Abuja, Director of Defense Media Operations Major General Michael Onoja disclosed that Operation Hardin K neutralized 54 terrorists, arrested 102 suspects, and rescued 102 victims. And also, a senior Boko Haram commander, Abu Salim al-Banawi, was also killed in the process. In the northwest, Operation Fasten Yama rescued 191 kidnapped victims, including Director of Federal Polytechnic Kara Namuda, Dr. Aminu Yusuf. In the North Central, according to Major General Onoja, Operation Savannah Shield and Operation Enduring Peace rescued 29 victims and arrested 78 suspects in Kwara, Niger, Plateau, and Kaduna. In the Middle Belt, Operation Wild Stroke neutralized 5 terrorists, arrested 70 suspects, and killed a notorious kingpin, Puga, in Benue State.
In a separate operation, troops neutralized a fleeing terrorist driver and recovered his vehicle in Yunusari local government area of Yobe State. Troops also sustained the logistical strangulation of terrorist networks through a series of arrests and confiscations. On the 5th of July, troops intercepted 2 suspected logistics suppliers in Gubbio local government area of Borno State, recovering a Gulf vehicle loaded with construction materials and solar panels. On the 7th of July, troops engaged terrorists hibernating in Dutse, Mopo, in Askira Oba local government area of Borno State, rescuing 2 abductees and recovering the sum of 1,200,000 naira only in ransom money.
The South-South and Southeast Operations Delta Safe and Udoka dismantled illegal refineries, arrested suspects, and sustained operations against oil theft and other criminal elements within the region. According to Major General Noja, within the month under review, troops across all theater of operations made or recorded significant successes.
We also rescued 393 kidnapped victims. Additionally, 57 insurgents surrendered to troops, while 59 arms and 1,811 rounds of ammunition were recovered. Similarly, the overall successes recorded in the fight against crude oil theft has continued to frustrate the activities of economic saboteurs. On the whole, the armed forces have significantly degraded the capabilities of criminals and terrorists across the nation.
The defense headquarters also disclosed that beyond combat, troops carried out civil military projects and held support in Borno. Military says troops will continue offensive operations and urges Nigerians to provide timely intelligence to security agencies, assuring that the military will not relent in the fight to restore peace and security across the country. Godwin Amundi, Rapid Television News, Abuja.
Well, you're welcome back. Now, I'm being joined by Ambassador Ademario Emmanuel, a security expert. It's a delight to have you join us. Good evening, Ambassador Ademario.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me in your studio this wonderful evening.
Well, Ambassador, you just watched the report, but before that report even came up, we understand that we have about 52 persons that have been kidnapped in Zamfara State. Now, although the military have come out to give us their own scorecard of what they've achieved so far, 102 neutralized, 393 rescued. Now, several parts of the country continue to experience kidnappings, bandit attacks and communal violence, despite the ongoing military operations. But let's even begin tonight from you giving us an assessment of this current administration. If you were to score Nigerian government and security development over the last 3 years on a scale of 1 to 10, what score would you give so far?
Before we give scores, we should be able to look at those that were in the place of authority to actually safeguard, prevent, and make sure that some of these criminal elements did not even carry out these hilarious activities that have put the country into a nightmare. We must understand that there must be a Moses who is in the front line, ready to sacrifice for the protection of his people. And that is where we will now come over to when the current Minister of Defense was the CDS and when he was the charter commander in Borno State. You'll discover that when he was the charter commander in Borno State, he himself has always been on the front line. Then outside that, coming over to the activities of the current security chiefs, talking about the current IGP, the current director DSSS, the commandant Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, you get to discover that the level they are operating is different from the level others were operating before now. And that is what is giving us that success record. I want to say, if somebody like Christopher Musa has been the Minister of Defense, a lot of actions that were dormant, that were not put into practice by the then minister, would have been activated. We wouldn't have even gotten to this point that we are today at the level of insecurity. So all I'm saying is this, that if we want to talk about the score record, we should also be able to talk about who is that person that is saddled with that responsibility to see that this insecurity, this kidnapping, the herders and the farmers clashes wouldn't have happened. There are a lot of internal machinery the Minister of Defense have been able to put in place that is not in the public known. There are a lot of meetings and dialogue ongoing in the secret, making sure that whatsoever that could put Nigeria into total darkness and into more chaos, that it is being prevented. Right, so then outside that, I want to say this.
Ambassador, so you're saying at this point,
yeah,
that it is difficult to give a scorecard to this administration for the last 3 years.
No, what I'm saying is this, that giving scorecard, I can say for the past 1 year, there is more results than the first and second year.
I just told you that just a couple of hours ago.
Yes, exactly.
We have a report.
Yes, exactly.
In Zamfara, 52 persons have been kidnapped.
Good.
In Sokoto State also, we understand that about 12 persons have been killed in Sokoto, and the numbers keep going like that.
Now
just
Okay.
a minute. About 2.2 million people so far have been kidnapped in the country. 2.2 trillion naira also has been paid as ransom across board. Now, let's begin from that part of the conversation by even as a
now-
security expert. If you want to assess this critically and give
Yeah.
it a scorecard, what would be your scorecard?
Now, I will say that the current security chiefs are doing their best.
So, okay, let's give them a scorecard in that regard.
No, I will
Well,
only
except
say
let's
that they are
let's
doing.
go with figures. If,
No,
if
no,
we,
no,
if
no,
we
no.
say you're doing their best, let's go with the figures.
No, why we won't go? Why we will not go?
You've mentioned Christopher Musa.
Yeah.
Of course, understand that the NSA, President of Nur Badu, also will say that they are doing magnificently well in order to tackle insecurity in the country. But you are an expert. Help us with a figure we can be on the same page on this.
One thing I will want Nigerians to understand that when we want to talk about figure, we must also critically look at those that are still in captivity. So when we are not giving scorecard, when there are still more of innocent citizens in the hands of their adopters, both in Kwara, both in Kogi, some still in Sokoto, and just some few days ago we still had that that was on Friday. We still had that some people were still kidnapped in Zamfara. So now, but we cannot just come out and say we are giving scorecard why citizens are still in the hands of their adopters. Now, just on Thursday last week, in a polytechnic in Ogun State, Ijebu-Ode, so about 5 students were kidnapped from their hostels. You understand? So all these people cannot still be in the hands of their captives, and we will say we are giving scorecard. But all I'm saying is this, that currently the security chiefs we are having, I confidently and boldly say they are doing fantastically well. They are putting in all their effort and machineries to make sure Nigerians are not captive in the hands.
You're finding it difficult to give a scorecard right now, of course, and you've said that the security, those manning the aim of affair, even Nigerian security, are doing magnificently well in this regard.
Yeah.
But then let's move away from even the scorecard. Let's talk about the light weapons that keep floating across the country. Now, recently, Nigeria destroyed over 2,800 seized illicit firearms as part of efforts to comb the spread of illegal weapons. But then, light weapons has become like a norm within the Nigerian communities. We see even individuals that are not even trained on how to carry some of these light weapons. They walk around with all of this. I'm curious, is destroying the weapons, the illegal and illicit firearms, is it enough to significantly reduce crime in Nigeria?
Not at all. Destroying it is a kind of also destroying resources, because those arms can still be made use of by our security agencies, or converting it for the usage of the forest guard, security guards, and also our vigilantes and our hunters. So, be it as it may, is when we talk about the inflow of illicit arms to this country. I remember my organization was part of those that championed the cause of NATCOM, which at the end of the day could not see the light of the day because we were told that department is already existing in NSA. So, but to actually really be able to stop inflow of firearms into this country, one, the security workforce of this country does not have that manpower, does not have that spread and that strength in terms of manpower and even in terms of technology to be able to stop these criminals or bringing these things in. That is number one. Then number two, when it now comes to the level of mindset, will I say mindset of poverty in the lives of personnel that we have currently as of today. You see, a security personnel, maybe, okay, let's use for instance, a sergeant or an inspector in Nigerian police, in civil defense, or in the army, look at their salary. Their salary is not up to 300, 400,000. And somebody is coming at a go to offer them 10 million to allow them move a vehicle or a truck into the country. They will not even ask what is the content in that truck because of the money involved. And because they will look at it that they will look at their salary, how many years it will take them to be able to have that 10 million. So all these are challenges. So to be able to stop that, one, the Nigerian government and our security agencies should make use of their available volunteers on ground. For example, the Man O' War, the Peace Corps. We have the NATCOM, which was meant to combat the inflow of illicit arms to the country. All these people can be converted and mainstreamed to be a helping hand in assisting in curbing and stopping these things not to flow in. That is number one. Then secondly, I want us to understand one fact, that a poor man cannot run the cartel of firearm. One, the person must be connected. Two, the person must be a formal senior uniform personnel in the country who understand where to get these things.
Are you saying at this point that all of these firearms, the illicit firearms flowing around the country, it's all a syndicate movement?
No, it is a syndicate. A poor man cannot run it. It is a cartel that has a chain of powers that be. We are talking about arms here. We are not even talking about illicit drug. So the people that run arms business are more stronger and are more powerful than those that run drug business in any country. You can go and do your research. So all I'm saying is this, that if this is to be stopped, our security agencies, our security chiefs must be ready to step on toes.
Well, small and light weapons across Nigeria has become like a normal conversation, but then you're taking us to another angle, which you said largely sponsored by former uniform personnel.
No, I did not say largely. I said are people who has passed through such a field.
Okay, I stand corrected on that. Yeah. All right, so let's even move away from that conversation now. So far, reports says, according to Organized Crime and Corruption Report, that yearly in Nigeria, 7,568 persons have been adopted across the country, according to Organized Crime Report, an online publication. And also, it said half the year, we have about 5,400 people that have been kidnapped. When we look at all of this put together, even in the country as it stands today, a lot of security experts will say that this whole adoption and kidnappings, the banditry, act of banditry, it's due to the fact that governance is not doing what it ought to do. And as such, we are where we are right now. Can we attribute all of this to government?
Now, I want you to understand one fact, that if from 1999 to date, money that have been allocated for projects in local communities has been judiciously made use of, schools are properly taken care of, health centers are properly taken care of, community roads are properly taken care of, electricity is made available, water is made available, there is free education. I want to tell you, some of these miscreants who has become militias wouldn't have thought of going that route. Wouldn't have thought.
So you believe that this is a failure of government?
So, no, it is a failure, and it is not just this current government. You see, whatsoever this current government is experiencing is an accumulated, unresolved problems that this current administration has inherited. Now,
When you sound like that, you make it look as though the government did not beg Nigerians to vote them in.
No. The point is this, that you see, when you now come to security, we must not just look at that person that committed a crime. We must look at what steered that person into that crime. Something would have happened somewhere. An offense would have occurred
but
somewhere.
The government is saying that vote me in, I'll fix the insecurity challenge.
Yes.
You don't think that the government is ready to fix that challenge?
Now, when the government comes out to say we are going to fix, it is about where do the previous administration stopped. Then they take it off from there. You see, insecurity in any country cannot be totally overhauled in an administration. It is something of a process. It is a continuous journey, because there has been injuries, there have been wounds that need to take time to heal.
Well,
so, but I want you to get this. I want you to get this.
Yeah.
That when we now talk about these figures of people being kidnapped, you should also be able to look at who are these people who are kidnapping these people. What is their agitation? What are they demanding for? Has the government been sincere in responding to their yearnings and agitations? Then, looking beyond that, those that actually hide in government to also push this narrative of kidnapping are also there. So we must not just look at those that perpetrate. We must also look at those behind the fence who are pushing some of these activities to disrupt a particular government or to distract a particular person not to be able to succeed in office. So we must also be able to harness all this together to now be able to give conclusion if the government is trying her best or not.
Well, in the last national APC summit held at the presidential villa, the NSA, person of Nuribadu, came out and said that they are on top of the game when it has to do with security issues. Now, Christopher Musa has also come out to say that they are on top of the situation and they are trying to also combat all of the insurgency in the country. But then looking at what has been said and the reality on the ground, can Nigeria actually trust this government that it is fighting and fixing insecurity challenges in the country?
Now, from personal experience and encounter, either with victims and at the cost of our sensitization and orientation across local governments and across states, we've discovered that insecurity and these crimes being perpetrated in times of kidnapping, if you look at what is happening in Kaduna, for example, you see day in, day out, different stories. And these activities happen in a particular region in Kaduna State, if you look at it vividly. Then, when you also get to Borno, Zamfara and Katsina, you discover that some of these activities also are being carried out in some particular areas. Now, you look at what is the bone of contention in these areas. If you look at the kidnapping in Zamfara and others, you discover that it is more of mining areas. It is more of mining areas. So, and when you now look at also those bandits that also go into cattle hustling, you know, hijacking people's cattle, rams and all that, you also discover that it is another sect entirely who are out to steal. So, and these people also have one or two persons who sponsor these activities of theirs. But here I will say that when the Minister of Defense said they are on top of the game, I want to say it here that the minister, for whom some of us has known him to be, has been fantastically doing well in terms of sending his mercenaries to some of all these areas to identify who are these people carrying out and perpetrating this. And that is why you see some of the success record by the army, because he has given a go-ahead. Whosoever is involved, bring him down. And that is why you can see that if 10 is arrested, you hear that about 90 has been neutralized, because those 10s are going to be used as experiment to get fat and others. So all I'm saying is this, that the Nigerian government, the current administration, I will say is trying her best by making sure that there is increase in manpower. You see, recently, the recruitment process of 50,000 police personnel that was approved by the president, and the Police Service Commission took it up, and the recruitment process has been done. The names have been out, and they are waiting to go for training. Recently, again, you had the Nigerian Army, about 28,000 have been recruited. The civil defense recruitment process and training will, any moment from now, start again. So within this year alone, we have had more than about 200,000 that have been recruited into different security apparatus of the country, all in the bid to actually forestall these activities of these criminals.
You've talked about all of this, but then you've said that the government is actually doing its best again for the third time.
Yeah.
But then let's talk about the budget for defense. About 5.41 trillion naira is allocated to the Ministry of Defense to be able to combat insurgency. Now, this is one of the highest budgets so far when it has to do with security personnel.
Yeah.
But then the numbers of kidnapping in the country does not also commemorate with the number of the budget right now. Is there something that we are missing at this point?
No, just like I've said, you see, whatsoever this present administration is facing is an accumulated problem, and it will take time.
So really an increase in the budget, an increase in security.
Yes, the increase is what is assisting.
Yes,
is what is assisting.
We cannot corroborate what the increase in the budget for security with the actual reduction in crime. Is that what you're saying?
No. There's reduction.
I just told you that
there's
just
reduction.
a couple of hours ago.
Yes,
52% were kidnapped in Zamfara.
Of course, beyond that,
you've cited.
Even beyond that, you discovered the ones that were even kidnapped in Enugu has been rescued.
All of these figures, we tend to be reactive as a government.
No.
But then, looking at the money allocated, at the funds assigned for security and protection of lives and property, and we still have all of these pockets.
Now, let me assist you with this.
Let's help us to
when you now talk about the budgeting, this money cannot just be dished out just within the twinkle of an eye. There are processes to all this. Before any money come out, there are processes. And it must be meant for a purpose.
So with the process so far,
intelligence.
So with the process
intelligence matters.
How do we measure the
that's why I said so far so good.
The implementation of the budget so far. Now, how do we measure the impact? Because a lot of Nigerians will say right now they are not feeling the impact of all of this.
For some of us who go to crime scene, whom whenever some of this thing happen, we send our members within that state to go and give us details of what happened. I want to tell you that the current security ships, the ones of the past they have not done up to, in fact, they did not even do 30% of what these current ones are doing.
All right, so Ambassador, you were saying at this point that the government have done magnificently well even in a discharge of its primary mandate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
But then Nigerians will argue that the funds allocated to the Ministry of Defense right now the outcome should rather be multi-sparrows. It should rather be a robust security discharge of its primary mandate. But then we still have pockets of crimes, pockets of kidnapping, pockets of all of these insecurity challenges across the country.
But I want you to understand,
are not doing enough.
No, I want you to understand
the funds
that
allocated to them.
The armed forces are not in charge of internal security. The armed forces are not.
We're not particular about the armed forces. We're talking about security
in general. So this
fund was not just allocated to the Nigerian armed forces alone.
No. So, yes, but I want you to now understand.
It was handed over to the Ministry of Defense and also the Ministry of Defense largely. So help us understand.
So now I want you to understand that the mandate of the armed forces is to protect Nigeria territory. in fighting war. Most of all these assignments that the armed forces has taken upon themselves fall back to the Nigerian police, civil defense, and all that. So the armed forces now coming in. Now you see our army on checkpoint. So because the agency in charge of internal security has shortage of manpower, that is why the president has a kind of giving a marching order that there should be more recruitment. And that alone, the process of recruitment take much funds. That is one. Then secondly, when you look at the level of funds being pushed into intelligence alone, it's much. Not talking about getting off arms. So, and I want to say this, that we have never gotten it good in the Nigerian police than this current administration of IGP Disu.
What are the
One, in terms of quick response, before now,
Egbetokun will disagree with you on this.
No!
Egbetokun will say no, he outperformed his predecessor.
No! Within these few months, that this current IGP...
But this is building on the foundation laid already by...
No! This man is coming with another school of thought.
All right.
He's coming with another different mindset and school of thought of security. He's coming with another policing ideology. That policing is not about arms alone. Policing is not about enforcing alone. Policing is about preventing, stopping that act not to happen, where they will not begin to push into action. This has come on board. Look at from the time this has come on board. How many protests have you seen has gone wide, has gone to the extent of people are killed, people are wounded. You discover that this will always a kind of let me know what the problem is. We can go on roundtable. So now one of the problems we have that make our security situation to be so dubious and look as if solution was not coming to the table is because of the way we approach it. But these current security shifts, and I'm using both the IGP, the CG, NSCDC, and Christopher Musa, and the DGDSSS as an example. Go and see their intelligence team outside there. They are working down to the local communities. And you will see them. They relate with you one-on-one. But before now, that opportunity was not there. It is about either you are agreeing or you are not agreeing. But now we are getting it gradually, and people are beginning to understand now that security is a collective responsibility, not just men on uniform alone. But before now, those that have been there believe it is them and them alone. But this current security chief say no, that security is our collective response. We should be able to do it together because it is our country. We don't have any other country except this.
Well,
and that is where some of the funds.
I think you have a thing for this. I think you have a personal likeness for this.
No, I don't have personal likeness for him. I do have issues. I do have issues more. I do have issues with police officers on daily basis. Even today, I have been able to sort out more than 4 different cases on phone. And some of these officers will always be rude. But yet, we don't take it as an offense because we felt it's a continuous process. Everybody cannot be the same. So, to be able to change the mindset of the few bad eggs, it will take time. It will take process because they have been in that system for a while. So, to be able to change them, and that is what the IGP is doing. He is training and retraining his officers in relation with people, with citizens, with civilians. But before now, all this was not on board.
All right. So since you've taken us to the IGP's table right now, let's talk about the debate over state policing, because it has become the order of the day right now, the biggest conversation in the country.
Yeah.
There are 2 sides to this debate. The first side will say that Nigeria is ready for state policing. Now, that's on one hand. On the other hand, a lot of people still feel dissatisfied with the current structure of the Nigerian police. I will tell you that, hey, we're not ready for that state police. But you are the security expert. Would state policing improve security or create new political and operational risks?
Now, when we talk about state police, the first thing is what is the major mandate? What assignment is the state police coming to carry
To
out?
protect life and properties of Nigerians, which has become
the state police,
the statutory provision of Nigerian police
if you look at the organogram that is on ground, you will discover that their major work is on local intelligence, engagement, orientation activities, the loopholes, the areas that the federal police could not carry out in state and local
So which
government.
means that the current police structure, the current policing system that we're using right now has failed.
No, not that they have failed, but the fact is that the manpower
become
is not
obsolete.
there. No, the manpower.
Nigerians need to know before we talk about the state police.
It is
the
manpower. The manpower is not there. So it is
the
not
current
that
policing
they are
system that
outdated.
we have right now,
Yes.
where we use about the general principle is that policing to citizen policing ratio should be about 1 to 450, but right now we're using about 1 to 650. Now, does it mean that the current Nigerian policing system has failed?
Not that they have failed.
So
before we talk
about what this,
there is no enough manpower. Our current
so
policing.
what do you mean by non manpower?
Yes. So we are talking about the personnel. The total numbers of our personnel in this country at the level of Nigerian police is not up to 600,000. So whereby we are having more than 250 million citizens in the country. So what can they do?
The
and that is why
ratio
still
stands at 1 to 60.
So now you will not get to discover that because they are overworked. There is no way they can be able to achieve good record. And that is why
they've overworked.
Yes, therefore,
does it mean
overspent.
that the current policing system that we have has failed?
No, not that they have failed. No.
Before we start talking about,
I will not agree. I will not agree on that choice of words.
Is another
state police is coming to
functioning
assist
largely with the other tier of government, which centers around the government at the subnational. Now, if we look at this, state police, the documents that I've been able to peruse, saying that state police is going to work largely with the subnationals, and they report largely also to the federal government. Help us understand this. Does it mean that the current policing has failed? That's why we are agitating for a state police.
Now, I want you to understand, when we talk about state police coming on board, state police is meant to come and assist.
The already failed
No. The overstretched federal police. Federal police is to respond to national issues. State police is to take over activities and affairs of policing system in the state.
Did we miss it?
So now,
did we miss it that the same federal police can no longer man local communities?
No, not that they cannot man, but they don't have that numbers. Now, a situation whereby we have about 50 armed men in the forest that has adopted more than 100 persons. And in that locality, the total numbers of security agencies we are having is not up to 20. So how would they be able to combat and contain the activities of these criminals? So that is where we are talking about shortage of manpower.
Should we be talking about state police, or rather training and retraining of other security operators?
No. When we now talk about the state police,
we see what Amoteco is doing in the southwest.
No, Amoteco,
shouldn't that be the conversation?
No, immediately the state police is established. You see, the state security architecture that have been set up by state governors will be collapsed into the state policing system. So, and that is where they are now going to work more effectively, because the ideology is that those to be recruited and work are going to be recruited from that community and be posted in that community, who understand the security activities of their community. They know the criminal in their community, they know the good ones in their community. So, and that is going to also help the government in making sure that their local government and the communities under them are
protected. How do we preach
right?
national unity if the policeman cannot be transferred from point A to point B?
Such transfers
has been the culture and the norm
that transfer
within the
has
Nigerian
always
police
been.
force.
That transfer has always been.
But right now, if the state policing comes into play, we will not be able to transfer.
With the current
So how do we
security
preach
trend,
national unity?
with the current security trend,
We don't need to transfer.
no, with the current security trend, you cannot operate effectively where you don't understand the routine of that area.
You think this is not a misplaced priority?
No, it is not a misplaced priority because you see, before now, it will take years for any new officer being posted to a particular territory and area to get adapted to that particular jurisdiction. So as when it's getting adapted, under 2-3 years, it's being transferred again. So, and that is why we are not getting the needed result. A DPO that was just transferred from Lagos coming to a local community like mine to come and serve. He does not know the route in that community. He does not know the behavior and the culture of that community. It will take him time. And before he understands individuals who are in that community, it might not be getting to the time where he needs to be transferred again. And another new face will be brought again. And that is why it has been difficult.
But if that can be fixed, should we still have that conversation of state policing? If that can be addressed?
Now, for some of us,
because you've identified a very key challenge.
Yeah, so for some of us, from the beginning, we were a kind of looking at state policing as the only alternative means to deal with issue of kidnapping and social vices, because the level of social vices in our local community today that have to do with child abuse, drug abuse, cultism, and other moral decadence that is now happening in our communities is as a result where those who ought to speak to those children are not available. Now, I want to use my local government as an example. My local government has 6 towns. There was a police barrack in my place before now. That police barrack has collapsed. There's no one presence of single police officer in my hometown. That place has been deserted for hunters association. Now, what I'm saying is this, that if we have state police and they are being recruited from that community, they will be there. They will not be looking for a greener pasture somewhere else. So because they will want to, the purpose of them being recruited is for them to protect their local community.
Ambassador Ade, I wish we have time to really talk about this, but again, I've been signaled our time is fast spent. But just before I let you go, looking at ahead of 2027, what immediate action should the government take within the next 6 months to restore public confidence and national security, if you are to advise the government? Just in 1 minute.
Now, my advice is very simple. Speaking to the NSA, the CG Musa, IGP, and the DSU and the DGDSSS, that they should not look at the civil society organizations that their core mandate is basically on sensitization, orientation, and engaging of young people in local community. Let them begin to create avenue to have one-on-one with this civil society organization, especially the voluntary uniform organizations, the Peace Corps, the Manowar, the Boy Scout, the Boys Brigade, the Girls Guide, and many others that are outside there who are volunteers. And they have good numbers. If you join the total numbers of Manowar, Peace Corps, and Boy Scout together in this country, there are more than 1 million. So if you are bringing about 1 million to complement the 1 million you are having from the security architecture, you are having about 2 million. And these people will really be able to assist and help. So my advice is that the government should be sincere to themselves in fighting the insecurity that has faced us.
Well,
thank you.
Ambassador Ade Mario Emmanuel, I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us today on Korero. I wish we still have time to talk more, but then we don't have the luxury of time tonight. Exactly. We'll definitely bring you back.
Definitely. I hope to be with you again. And by then we would have been able to have scorecard.
Yeah,
to be able to present.
Scorecard. Well, viewers, how far we can go tonight on the show. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts, you can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen, and you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.